feet. Let's turn to Psalm 142. And when you get it, say, still saved. Psalm 142. And when you get it, say, still saved. Still saved. I know my electronic folks are there. Amen. If you don't know where the Psalms are, meet me 9:30 next week downstairs. Amen. And we'll help you with that. Amen. Psalm 142. Still saved? Are y'all hearing echo? I'm hearing the echo. You hear echo? Okay. Maybe if he can hear me downstairs, he can work on hear echo. All right. Still saved? All right. So I'll read and then you'll follow. Verse 1. I cry out to the Lord with my voice. With my voice to the Lord I make my supplication. I pour out my complaint before him. I declare before him my trouble. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then you knew my path. In the way in which I walk, they have secretly set a snare for me. Look on my right hand and see, for there is no one who acknowledges me. Refuge has failed me. No one cares for my soul. I cried out to you, O Lord. I said, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise your name. The righteous shall surround me, for you shall deal bountifully with me. Amen. Lord, add a blessing to the reading and to the hearing of his most holy word. Amen. Our sermonic theme today is simply bring back my joy. Bring back my joy. Amen. I'm used to the Congress. Find three people, tell them bring back my joy. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Amen. Just stay seated. Amen. Look, the entire psalm is a presentation of emotions that occur within a cave. Okay? Now, it's important for us to understand the phenomenon of a cave. Now, I'm not talking about a man-made cave, right? Because we take it upon ourselves to create certain things. But I'm talking about a cave that has occurred because of the natural positioning and repositioning of the earth. So through earthquakes or those land movements, it opens up places that are known as caves, places of refuge. They are, church, on a whole, they are cold, dry, and wet. And they would be declared non-livable because of the fear of another movement that can crash down. Yes. We have heard of persons who have been killed in caves simply because they were unaware and they dared to enter, but the earth repositioned and moved, and they were unprepared for the movement and then died within the cave. They have been known for shelter from the rain, or most seriously, natural causes. They provide a kind of cover. So, persons in the midst of a bad natural weather phenom, a cave can provide the necessary shelter through the storm. That's what they are designed for. We are not designed to stay in a cave. It's a temporary shelter, but at some point, you got to come out of a cave. Amen? Amen, amen, amen. So we have to be able to understand this here. In most cases, right, people are not seeking a cave. They are pushed into it based upon the environment which they are trying to navigate. Right. Now a hermit can have the purpose to find a cave and stay there. But most cases, the environment or the storm that is around us pushes us into a cave. And it gives us shelter or refuge from the storm. But it's not meant to be permanent. Okay. At some point, you got to come out. Now understand this. The cave existed long before we did. So it is always, and it brings to light and present help in times of trouble. So before our trouble began, there was an escape or shelter prepared for us already. So whatever we're facing now, there's still shelter in the midst of the storm. Yes, there's shelter there. So when we're going through, there is a shelter that is designed for us, especially as we deal with the elements of weather. Right. There's a place for us to go. It's just not meant as a place for us to stay. Amen? Now, it needs to be understood here that David, as well known as David is here, he began his life in the bastion of promise and potential. He was anointed and claimed to be the king at an early age. He was known as a strong shepherd of the flock, and it was uncontested how much he loved God. He was a warrior who surpassed all expectation by slaying the giant Goliath. Keep in mind, there were soldiers that were on the battlefield who were hiding because of the reputation of Goliath. But David heard that somebody had a problem with his God. So he took everything that he had and he slayed the giant. So he had now become known for his greatness and the slaying of the giant. But what he had now taken on was the jealousy and the hatred of the king whom he had served. Because now they're chanting for David instead of the king whom he had served. And that's the thing, that church, we have to be careful here, okay, on this, because in this time we can become when things are going good for us, right? And we can drop our guard. And then the people who want to hurt are the ones who we look up and respect to the most. And we have to be careful because we can place a human being and love for that human being in place of our love and our desire to serve God. Right? The king here, he was the first king. God warned him, be careful what you ask for. Amen. Okay, you got to be careful what you ask for. And so the king had now gone the wrong way, and so a new king was being lifted up. But the king was going to have his say on the life of the young man David. And so he is now on the run. Come on now, he was the great
in the pasture. He had oil appointed on him and anointed. All of these things, he had slayed the giant, and they were chanting David and for his greatness and what he had done. Now he is on the run like a common criminal, as if he had not been great before. The storm has formed around David. There has been a storm now, and the quiet and the peaceful and the glorious life in which he led, now the clouds had formed, and he is now alone on this journey. And to order to preserve his life and hide from those who are coming after him, he has now had to hide in the cold and damp nature of this cave. The nastiness of it, the inability to have the green pasture with the wonderful animals now had gone away, and so now he is hiding in a cave. The dirt of the cave, the wetness of the cave. And there are some times in life, church, that the storm is going to push you into a cave. Hallelujah. You didn't ask for it, you didn't want it, but guess what? It's here, and so you got to deal with it. And you got to find a way to get out the storm. But God is saying that I've got a place of shelter for you in the midst of the storm. You just have to accept the storm. That's right. Sister Angie, one thing that my congregation have taught me these words: keep on living. Right? Things is going so well for you, keep on living. Things ain't going the way you want them to go, keep on living. And so in life, we have to understand that the storm is going to come. If it's going to hit a wonderful soul like David, surely it's going to hit a sinner that needs saving like us. And so you've got to be able to understand that the cave is necessary. Look, when I was younger here, I went through that phase of where I thought that I could hang with the gangbangers. Amen. I never fit in, so don't even try to picture it. I never fit in. Amen. Amen. You can't. There's some things that you can do, and there's some things that you can't. But I started getting into trouble in school, and my dad was a grassroots social worker. He would go into the prisons. He did all of that stuff. My dad would take us places that we just wasn't supposed to be, but he wanted us to expose us to life. And when my dad heard about me acting up in school, he told my mother, give him to me for one day. And he took me to this school that he was working in, where all the bad kids in Chicago got shipped into this school. They wouldn't even put them on a yellow school bus. They put them on public transportation. And you couldn't even get on the bus. They had chaperones on there. And he put me in that school for one day, and a change came over me. Come on, talk to me somebody. I realized that I thought I was rough and tough. But after 1 hour, I was nice, and I needed to. I would skip through the roses if needed, and my father left me alone. He said he left me with him, and after that, I had a change experience. But I was pushed into a cave to reevaluate myself. And then when I came out, I had something new about myself. And so sometimes, church, we have to get into a dark place to recognize the light that is there for us. Because we begin to take it for granted that life is always this way. Well, sometimes you got to go through something to recognize the goodness that you have. Oh, trust me, Holy Ghost. Oh, it's nothing like a broken heart. A broken heart lets you know that it needs to be mended. Sickness may never be asked for, but it's an opportunity to live and to grant of control of what you're going through. Finding the great challenge instead of wrestling with this dissatisfaction. I like those saints who get fired from jobs and then they go back to school and then be able to go back to the job and say, I didn't need your job anyway. The entrepreneur who loses everything and then emerges with stronger ideas and realities. The broken-hearted people who mend themselves and walk past the one who broke the heart and say, I'm still here. I'm still in this game. You tried to take me out, but I'm still here. What you meant for bad, God used it for good. So it has to be understood here, church, that even when pushed into the cave, you cannot take on the mentality of the cave. When you take on the mentality of the cave, that means you are tending to have a longer stay there than what you should. If you take on the mentality of the cave, you won't be able to look out and see that it stopped raining.
All right.
You won't be able to notice that the storm is not there anymore. If you take on the mentality of the cave, you won't even see that you have healed and that you can move on. But you're stuck in the cave because what can happen is cave can be like prison. You get used to it. And then if somebody lets you out of it, you want to go back into it. Because it makes it easier as far as living your life. So it's not meant to be a permanent state. The atmospheric conditions of the earth are constantly changing. They open up caves and new caves, but you're not supposed to stay in them. Now, while in the cave, church, he gives these steps to healing that we got to gather here. Go to verse 2. Still saved? You have to understand it and acknowledge that you are troubled, that your soul is grieving. And you need to self-assess that and then confess the issue. Right? It says, I declare before him my trouble. Verse 2. What is his trouble? Go to verse 4. Look on my right hand and see, for there is no one who acknowledges me. Look at this, church. Refuge has failed me. Look at this. No one cares for my soul. The brother here has become dependent upon human existence. Come on. Look here. Look, if I always relied on my blood family, I'd be in trouble. Come on, talk to me somebody. Family will let you down quicker. I mean, and you're saying, boy, that family reunion was good, but it seemed like there was a lot of fighting that was going on up in there. And you see that as a kid. When you get older, you become part of the family. So you then realize that he is relying, right, on human existence to save him. He's saying that I'm scared because it has let him down. He was once the great warrior and lover on the Lord, but when things were easy, but now he's on the run, he's scared. Here this is now. The one that slew Goliath is now scared. So we have got to come to grips with ourselves. Some of us have got to open up the issues. Right? When abuse is present, if you have been abused, you've got to open up and deal with the issue. It will affect you wherever you go. That's right. Look, why do persons get high and stay high on drugs or get drunk and do their best? Look, because they fear the reality of their own existence. If I can stay high, then I don't have to deal with the reality of what I do, of what I'm dealing with. That's what sin does. It takes away us from our own reality. As long as we can keep lying, as long as we can keep cheating. Our brothers and sisters who fight these drug issues, I have to want to come clean and say, I'm scared. I'm going to die. Those of us who deal with death and the loss of those so close to us, we have to say, look, I'm hurting. It means something to me. Yes. Right. Because you can't deal with it unless you come to grips with it. And part of the cave experience is coming to grips with it. And then now figuring out how you let it go. This preacher was telling us this week. It's such a good story. He was watching an animal show, and he's watching a thing about the eagle. Right. And the eagle is strong, just a strong animal weapon, can come down off the mountain and grab a fish right out the water and bring it up. He said this eagle went down and he grabbed the fish. But what he didn't know is the fish was heavier than what he thought it was. Okay. And so the eagle kept trying to pull the fish up, but it was too heavy for the eagle to pull the fish up. So instead of pulling, and the eagle could have very easily let it go and flew off, but the talons were so deep into the fish he couldn't let go. So the eagle drowned because he couldn't let go. Now that has to be some of us here at church, right? Because there's that big fish that's pulling us underwater, we can't let go. And these things that have occurred in our past, or these things that have upset us, these things that have hurt us and ripped our souls apart, right? Continue to pull us and drag us down because we don't let it go. Right? From the preacher on back. Look, church, I have been before you. These are now here. You have seen, y'all know the loss of my mother is so huge. Just like the loss of yours is so huge. Right? It's so huge. But it's like it's a point that the one thing I had to realize, at the point where we lowered my mother, the point, look, time kept clicking. Right? Right? And it's a point where you got to realize it, or where we have to realize there's some things that we have to just be able to let go of. But you got to realize that you're going through it for you to be able to let go of it. Hear me now. Look, after acknowledging yourself, right, then you need to acknowledge and reclaim that belief in God. Okay? Right. The cave experience will occur because you have stopped putting God first. Amen. Right? People get upset with the church. Like you begin to put the church is fine. The people are what challenge you. Come on, talk to me somebody. But when you get so caught up in the opinions and the feelings of people, it's like that fish the eagle got on. It's pulling them down. Right. You got to look past the person to see the cross. Because ain't nothing ever wrong with the cross. The cross is always going to be all right. Whatever pastor is here, you put the cross up, you all right. Pastors come and go, deacons come and go, people come and go, but the blood of Jesus is right? Come on, look at verse 5 and 6. Look at David here in this recognition. It said, look, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of living. Then he said, look, attend to my cry. Come on now. He didn't say, let me go find King Saul. King Saul, can you please attend to my, okay, let me go find my father. Just attend to, no. He's saying, you attend to my cry. He now has realized nothing else. And he said, look, deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. He has realized that he can't rely on human existence. I have to now rely on the God that brought me this far. And look, I gotta tell you, look, a doctor can say everything a doctor wants to say, but I want to hear what the Lord can say. That's why they practice medicine. Amen. But God is a healer and have always been. Now it says so in the cave, David finds grace. He is proclaiming the purity of his faith. And that is that the purity is the belief that without God, I am nothing. Amen. I can't face another day unless he is with me. That happens in the cave. So it's a process. I have acknowledged it. Now I need to acknowledge the one that can pull me through it. Okay. Right. So he finds grace. And then, church, I'm telling you, when you find, I'll tell you, I said this before. When I found grace, grace became a friend of mine. Look, I can't go nowhere without grace. Look, I'll run down the street with grace. I'll skip through the tulips with grace. If I go out and eat by myself, I'll put another chair there for grace. If I'm in a car driving, I'll put the seatbelt on grace. If I can't find grace, I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go put on my goggles, I'm going to get my magnifying glass, but I'm going to find grace because grace woke me up. Grace woke me up this morning. Grace got me on the way. Grace got me in my right mind. Grace got me standing right here. Grace put clothes on my back. Grace put me in right now. Grace filled my tank up. Grace got my top on. Grace brought me here right now. I preach with grace. I teach with grace. I shout with grace. Grace is a friend of mine. If grace is over here, I'm going to grab grace. If grace is over here, I'm going to grab grace. Me and grace will walk through life, and I can't do nothing without grace. Oh, help me, Holy Ghost. Yes, you got to get back your joy. This life is set up to take away our joy. Things happen, church, that we didn't even see was going to happen. Right. And it's designed to take away our joy, our faith. It will push us away from the church. It will push us away from the word. We won't even pray because we don't believe God can grant the prayer. It's set up to take us away from it. You got to remember, church. So I got to go back. I tell you, when I first got what I call truly saved, I mean, not when I was trying to appease people, but when the Lord Jesus came into my heart. Whoa, help me, Holy Spirit. You couldn't tell me nothing. If I had a cold, I'd be like, the Lord is going to heal me. If I had the flu, the Lord is going to heal me. If I'm looking for a parking spot, the Lord is going to find me. If I found a parking spot far away, the Lord wanted me to walk far. He wanted me to pray on the way to where I'm going. That's why I had to park that far away. God was everything. God had to be everything to you. Oh, I told you, I put God on my answering machine. If you call me, this is the home of Davenport. I am saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. I got joy, unspeakable joy. I've been washed in the blood. It would cut off on me. It'd be washed in the blood. Because it was belief. And you come out the cave, you come out excited. Look, praise is the reaction to grace. David declares his praise, that praise is associated with his deliverance. Praise becomes the response to deliverance, meaning that it's okay you go in the cave, but you got to praise your way out of the cave. It puts the exclamation point on it that simply says, God, I thank you. Remember, look, in the beginning, this is one of the shortest songs that you will read. But the emotions are so diverse. It begins with him being afraid. It ends with him ready to praise and thanking God. Then even in the midst of this dirt and this wet and this damp cave, God is still a good God. Even though the storm and he have been pushed in here and friends and people have turned against him, God is still a good God. It's a thank you. Can you imagine you in the deep, dark depths of this cave and you saying thank you? Thank you, Jesus. Whoa, help me. Gratitude is important when you encounter God. And I don't have to say with prayer, I'll be out your way. And I spoke to this word. I know here, church, these can be challenging times, even for the congregation of the People's Institutional Baptist Church. It is that for the church across the nation and across the world. But David lets us know that there are times in which we've got to go in there. Hallelujah. But we can't take on the mentality of what's in it. That's right. The deep, dark place still deserves thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. It still deserves thank you. The heartbreak and the things that you go through, it it still can be said, Lord, thank you. It used to be when I got truly saved, I told you, I just started praising well. I would be in my cubicle at work and I started raising my hand. Thank you, God. And y'all know I'm a courtroom lawyer. I would call a recess and then have to walk to my office or walk wherever I could and say, "Woo, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for saving me. Thank you for me. Thank you. You've been there, everything for me." And I just thank you. And I received some criticism one time because I was around these folks and they said, "Look, you got these professional certifications. We just think that you should act in a more dignified way." Lord, help me, Holy God. Look, you this lawyer and you got these degrees, but you make all this noise in the church and you sing in these songs. I can't sing well, but hey, they say make a joyful noise unto the Lord. And see, God want to hear something. Amen. I am what I am, but I can still praise the Lord. And so initially it hurt me because I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why would you say something like that to my spirit? I'm happy that I'm saved. I'm not saved based upon my certifications or whatever. I'm saved because the Lord God been good to me. And I remember just picking up and the Lord just touched me. And I just realized, I looked around, I said, I got this pillow on my bed because the Lord gave it to me. I got shelter over my head because the Lord gave it to me. The Lord been good to me. I got food in the cabinet because the Lord gave it to me. I got food that can get on the table because the Lord gave it to me. I can open up my refrigerator. God didn't have to give all of this to me, but I got food I can see in the refrigerator. Eventually the Lord blessed me with a family. I was by myself and then He gave me a family. And I told this times where I have to get up in the middle of the night and I have to walk around my house. I get stressed and I got anxiety from what the world is asking of me. But when I look around and I see my children sleeping peacefully, I can't do nothing but say thank you. When I see when it was cold, and there was heat coming through my vents, I can't do nothing but say thank you. When the money was low and the bills were still paid, I can't They beat him all